I don't know how close you and Joe are.
I'm not even sure who this nigga is anymore.
Let's figure this out. Because this is gonna it's inevitable if we're gonna continue on to have fights.
I feel like Joe feels like a lot of the success of this podcast is based off of his music career.
Having some problems with your friends in business, you can end the business and keep the friendship.
He still feels like he has choices and options. He feels like he's entitled to more. Rory, you are in breach of your contract, and from this point forward, you are fired.
All right, so it's been about 4 years since the Joe Budden podcast split up from their core group. And for some reason, it's still an ongoing beef. My perspective is that they need to just shut up and go fight. But who am I to say? But here's the recent saga of this beef from Joe Budden.
Why would you go talk to Rory while I was right there while you was out with me?
Because I'm a real nigga, that's why.
I accept it. I don't have no beef.
Yeah,
you one of my best friends, nigga. I was just trapped. You one of my best friends.
And I tried to hide
Listen.
Then he went to the after party with Rory,
listen.
Whoa.
You went to the after party. You ain't say that part. You was at the after party with Rory.
You left your man to go hang out with somebody else?
Send me home and went to hang out with Rory at Lagos.
Slow down.
At Lagos.
Slow down.
Shout out to that.
Slow down. Let's get something straight.
Got you.
I do what the fuck I want. That's one.
That's what he told me.
That's one.
That's what he told me.
Ain't nobody clapping but me. I'm the only one supporting you, nigga.
2, I didn't leave nobody. We all dispersed and went home. I live in New York. They went back to Jersey. 2. 3. Yo, pick up your claps, nigga. clap a little faster. 3. I've always been open about me being cool with Rory, and I don't have an issue with him.
Did y'all talk about Joe?
That's none of your business. And me and you gonna have a talk off camera too.
About what?
About you.
Talking about Joe?
About talking. Period.
Tell him I don't have no issue with him.
To whom?
Period.
Next time y'all at Lagos.
Yeah. Stop freestyling, nigga.
Nah, ain't no freestyle.
Next time y'all at Lagos, let him know. I don't have no problem with him.
I don't like that.
I don't have no problem with nobody. I'm here to be more mature. Actually,
All right, let me just work backwards real quick because I do want to address that Queen's Flip and Imani small dialogue real quick where he asked him oh, did you talk about Joe when you was with Rory?
Yeah, he was instigating like a motherfucker.
He was.
Oh, I hate motherfucker instigate. I hate the motherfucker. Oh, I agree. You dragging it.
he definitely was instigating it. But I don't like the fact that Imani kind of tried to sun his shit like a child. We're going to talk about that later. That's what your parent does when you do something wrong. Oh, yeah, when we get home, we're going to have a conversation about that. That felt a little weird, but...
you think he was serious? Dead ass with it?
Yeah, I think he was dead ass. I do think he was dead ass because when Queen's Flip was like, oh, all right. I was like, oh, all right. I know. I was like, okay, all right. That's the New York lingo for all right. Word bet. What's up with it later? But let's to the main point of this. This ongoing beef is just weird. And Joe pretending like he doesn't have an issue with Rory is weird. You do have an issue with Rory. That's why you brought this shit up. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't give a fuck that Imani hung out with him. And they're clearly already been friends. This just looks weird. It's like, hey, if you're not on my side, you're against me. Even though you're not directly saying that, it kind of makes the temperature awkward now.
Yeah, even though Joe didn't look 100% too serious about it, but I could tell there's still something.
Yeah, it feels
there.
passive.
It feels a little passive, yeah.
So, and as someone who's listened to the Joe Budden podcast when they were all Rory, Mal, and him were together, and watched the entire aftermath, this has been an ongoing thing. They've just been jabbing at each other for the past 4 years.
But I feel over time, Rory and Mal have been getting a little less and less relevant. And
no, that's not true.
You don't think so? No?
They just got ranked number 13 on Complex.
Oh, really? Okay.
Media, yeah. I mean, and they've been getting a lot of talk about, partially a lot of it's just Mal hate because of how he's been glazing.
Yeah.
Drake, but outside of that,
I feel like Joe, I'm not saying their podcast is bad. I feel like the Budden podcast is just still more solidified, more up there.
It's hard to scale.
I feel like if you're going to hear, you want to hear the take on hip hop, for the Drake Kendrick beef.
Yeah.
More if you had to choose who you want to go to first, I think the majority of people would pick Joe over Rory and Mal over hearing his take. But that's more a niche situation, I guess.
Yeah.
But I feel like his voice, when it comes to hip hop specifically.
Oh, no, of course. But that's still hard to scale, though, because, like I said, as someone who's watched both podcasts, there's significant differences in what's happening. They have not went on tour since that breakup happened. They had a tour with Ish, Ice, and Joe, and they canceled that shit and have not done any tour yet. Rory and Mal have. Now, if you want to go off of views alone, then yeah, Joe has a bigger podcast, but they're doing other things that that stack up well. They have their ad revenue, they have their Patreon revenue, they're going on tour. So it's like, it's hard to say.
I still think the Budden podcast is more relevant, personally. But.
No, it's more relevant, but I'm going off to say they fell off or they're not doing good, I think is a complete lie. Okay. That's super inaccurate.
That's fair. I'm not as tapped in. I don't follow them as much.
I think they're getting a lot of hate right now because of how Mal has been addressing the Drake Kendrick beef and his lack of biasness. Sorry, I'm saying that super wrong. His lack of
glazing, his Drake glazing,
his Drake glazing is ridiculous,
off the charts,
and it still is. So I think they're getting a lot of negative feedback from that. But once that passes and that podcast goes back to just being actually fucking funny again, that shit is a top podcast when they're being funny. When this happened, Rory decided to respond on his podcast. He first responded with a picture of a book and it had like a quote in it. I don't remember the quote. But people were speculating, and then because of this, now Rory has came out and said what happened.
Sometimes you just go to a Lucky Day show with your girl and don't even know someone's around you. Sometimes you don't bump into anyone or see anyone. Telling somebody they need to go heal when they're having the time of their life with their girl at an R&B concert and you're staring at them, I think, who needs to heal in this situation? Even though you was there.
No, you just posted a really dope soliloquy.
Okay.
And I read it.
Stupid. Of course I posted that in reply to what was a very interesting rant on a podcast. I went to a Lucky Day show. I didn't see anyone whatsoever.
Yeah.
I saw Amani. That was it in the line for popcorn. Shout out to E.
Yeah. So I think Rory and Mal have now taken the approach of just kind of like, I don't give a fuck, play it cool kind of situation, but throw like a small, very, very small jab.
Yeah, allegedly, he's saying Joe said he needed to heal. I missed that part too.
Yeah, but he did say it wasn't a rant, so it probably happened later on that wasn't more clippable than what everybody was circulating through the internet. But from my opinion on this, it's just been 4 fucking years. Like, the fact that this is all over accounting is ridiculous.
It's over that. I think it's more just the saltiness of the situation, and it was over accounting initially, obviously. But they're just like, but it turned to animosity between each other.
I know, but I'm saying the fact that this started over that, and that's a very fixable solution of just show the fucking accounting. Like, I get Joe's perspective of like, yo, I run this business. No, but bro, like, just what do you gain from not? You lost more than you gained from doing that.
It seemed like he was. I don't want to say finessing them, but I guess he did. His perception of what their worth was clearly didn't match what their perception of what their worth was.
I think there was a podcast. He said this a long time ago. It's been about like 2 years, but he kind of damn near alluded to what happened. And he was talking about record label contracts, and he subtly was like, "Yeah, that's what they were in as well." And record label contracts are known to be relatively predatory or in the favor of the business. So I think their contract was more in favor of Joe, and they probably started looking at shit like, yo, what the fuck is happening? And I don't know.
They gained a lot of success, and I think Joe like enjoyed them as their head, and he wanted them to keep them around, but he saw them as replaceable at the end of the day.
Yeah, and to my opinion, I don't think they were.
Yeah, I don't think Ish and what's his name?
I think Ice.
I don't think
Ice, Queens Flip, Mel, Imani.
Yeah. I don't think those two specifically filled the gap at all. But
no, I think for an immediate they did, because obviously there was a lot of tension, and then Mal wasn't really speaking that much on the pod. So I was like, oh, there's a breath of fresh air. Everybody's talking. Yeah. But when you watch them old clips, man, boy, that shit was fucking funny.
I just don't think. I don't think Ice and them are.
And same for their podcast.
I don't think their content. They're not as entertaining as Rory and
old podcasts are not the same. Yeah. They're both completely different, which really sucks. I think they probably had arguably the best podcast ever. That shit just hit every fucking demographic possible. And that shit is gone. But I really wish they would get to a point where they would shut the fuck up. Like, I like it. I like the beat. Let's see them bark more. It's good drama. No, this shit's whack because they're not real. It's like passive aggressive jabs. They're not just flat out coming up like, yo, you're a bitch.
Yeah, no, it's
like
It's over.
So let us know what you guys think, man. Does this beef need to end? Do you guys want to keep seeing it going? Who's wrong in this situation? Is Rory Maul wrong or is it Joe? All right, guys. Thank you.